Okay, so this is my very first tutorial, and so bear with me, and you'll probably hear kids in the background because they're in the other room playing, so we'll just do our best here. I'm going to show you how to do, how I do a granny square. This is like a modified version of a granny square. I find that doing a granny square this way works better with when you're making blankets or even hats, because you can make anything really out of a granny square. It's a very useful thing to know how to make, and this is the way that I make them. So I'm going to show you how to make one, how to switch colors, and eventually how to join them. So first, I mean, you have to make your loop. Oh, I'm trying to stay in my hair. Okay, try to make your loop, and then I chain 4. So 1, 2, 4, and then you connect it into a circle. So that's slip stitch, and then you have your circle. I like to make only 4 chains. I think some of them call for 6 or more, because I like them to be tight. So okay, so you try to tuck that tail in, and anytime you do crochet, you try to tuck the tail in and any extra string in so that it's nice and neat. So, and when you start, and this, you know, it's important how you start any crochet, as far as rows or any beginning, you always start it with like a chain 2 or a chain 1, depending on what you're doing. If you start with immediately with a double crochet or single crochet, it will kind of look a little funny. So what I do with granny squares is do a double crochet, which I use 2 chains for that. So that's 2 chains. Now we're doing 4 little packets, I guess, in a way, like little 4 corners. Our 4 corners will be 3 double crochets each, divided by 2 chains. So that would be the first one. This counts as the first double crochet. And do it in here. So that's like one, like kind of, I keep saying one to say packet, little cluster, if you will. That's our corner. That's our first corner, and we're going to do 2 crochet now, and we're going to go back into the circle to do the next one. So that's, we're going to do our double crochets into the circle. So that's 1, 2, and then another chain 2. It's hard to do with this, trying to make sure you guys can see. And another chain 2, and then this will be our last corner, our last little kind of cluster, if you will. Now after that last one, you will also do a chain 2, and now you're going to connect it to the beginning. And where you connect it, oh, trying to get you, okay, bear with me, is right here. It's kind of the second chain, or the second double crochet technically, because this is technically the first. The chain 2 we did here was technically the first, but we're going to do it right here in the kind of the second. And then before we change our color, because we're going to change our color to a different one to show you how to do that, before we do that, we don't want to just cut it off here, because then we'll have a tail in the middle. So we want to go to the nearest corner. Well, not even the nearest corner, the next corner. We don't want to go backward. So we're going to slip stitch our way there. So we're going to slip stitch in that second one, or the third one technically, and then slip stitch in the corner, and then we can cut a little tail and pull that the whole way through. Okay, so that's our beginning. That's our first row. Okay, and then to add another color, and we can do, I think I'm gonna do red. We'll do red. Do the same thing. You start your little loop. Oh, hopefully we're okay. Like where I am, we can see. Okay, and we are going to start where our tail is. We're going to make a loop in there. Pull one. Okay. Now, the same thing applies. Once again, we're still doing double crochet, so I'm going to chain 2. I always chain 2 for double crochets, and actually I chain 2 for half crochets as well. I chain 1 for single crochet, so that counts as our first. And now, as we're going to make our way around, we are going to try to tuck in these tails, and you can cut them so that they're even, but you're going to crochet around these to tuck them in. The less tail sticking out, the better, that we don't have to deal with or cut off. Now, what we're going to do, we have 4 corners here, and the way that this expands is we, keep doing our corners. So we're going to add 2 here now inside this corner. The way that I do a granny square is that these little clusters will be divided. In each corner they're divided like these ones are by the chain 2. But on the outside, if it's not a corner, I don't even chain. I just do the clusters, and I'll show you. I'll show you as we proceed here. So that's the first chain 2. Okay. And then we do our chain 2 to divide it. I'm a little slow, way slower than usual. I'm trying to do this so you guys can see. Once again, this is my first one ever, so, or maybe not, okay. Not even you guys. Really, this is meant for one person, but maybe someday more people will see it. Okay. So, there's the 2 clusters, which are clusters today, or I keep calling them clusters, are 3 sets of double crochet, and I think there might be like, okay, divided by, the corners have the chain 2 in between them. So that's the corner. Now we're still the second row, so this is establishing. So between these 2 corners, I am not chaining at all. So I'm going to go straight into the next corner. And then I'm going to do a chain 2 to divide the corner up here. Okay, so then we have that. Alright, once again, I did not chain to go to the next corner. The reason I do that is because I like mine really tight. And when I do blankets and such, I don't know, I just like the feel of it being more secure. I don't know if it's because my stitches are loose and if I do extra chains, I'm not quite sure, but that's how I've always done them. And when you do hats or scarves, it makes them warmer. They're not as loose and flimsy. Okay, so, and once again, we are going to, this is the first double crochet, and we are going to go into this top part, which is technically the second. And slip stitch that close, and hopefully we saw that. Okay, and then we are going to slip stitch our way to the corner. Okay, and then there is our second row. And let's see. Okay, yeah, you know what, we will do one more color because I'll show you how to do that again. And then what we are going to do is, I usually do 4 rows. So, let's see. We will do, we can do the yellow again. Whenever I do my blankets or hats, or, I mean, hats I think I tend to make them all match, but blankets I love to make them all different. And that way too, and that's why I like doing granny squares, because there's like that small sense of accomplishment. It's not like an endless blanket. Like you can finish a square and feel like you've accomplished something. So I really do like granny squares. I tend to make all my baby blankets out of granny squares because you can just do so much with them. Now you can change every color for every row. You can alternate like this. You can also do only 3 rows, 2 rows, 4 rows, 5, as many as you want. You can do purses. I tend to do 4, like for blankets. It just seems like a good number. Seems like a good size. Okay, let me see if I'm in the right. Make sure I'm in the view shot. Okay, so starting, I'm hiding my tails back here. I did the chain 2. I always do that in the corners, and now you're going to see like a hair in there. Oh, where'd my toe go? Okay. A little malfunction. Okay, now you're going to see that for each little hole here that is not a corner, I am not going to chain at all. I'm just going to go straight in and do my hopefully you guys can see this. It's kind of, I'm trying to do it and make sure that I'm in the viewfind. Okay. At some point I will learn how to do the fast forward, like when I'm doing big things. Until now, I guess I'm just trying to, or until then, I'm just trying to be fast. And what's nice about the granny squares too is that once you get a hang of how to do it, it's something that, like, I don't count. It's something you don't have to count for. I mean, it's all sets of 3. Okay, and like I said, so here's the corners, and the corners have that chain 2 in between them, and I did not do any chains in between here. Only the corners is the only place that I do chain 2s. So there are many different kinds of granny squares. This is the one that I generally tend to do. I sometimes will mix these in with other ones that are fancy, like, because you can do stars and you can do hearts. You can do all kinds of different kinds of granny squares. There's like books of just granny squares, but I have found that blankets, hats, anything really look the best, not necessarily with the fanciness, but with just being well done and neat. Okay, so once again, I'm going to just cut this short because I feel like I've been Well, I have been doing this for 15 minutes, so hopefully this wasn't too boring. And hopefully it was, you know, understandable. So now I'm going to once again close right here. And I'm going to crochet myself slip up. See, I think I did the wrong one. I skipped one. Okay, I'm going to slip stitch myself to the corner, and I am going to finish this on my own so as not to bore the audience here. And what you do, I do want to show you, because I'm going to do one more row, but I have my tails here from whenever I changed color. And all you do for them, I'm going to take my nail off, because they're tucked in enough here, you can cut them nice and neat. Oof, maybe. And you can even pull on them and cut them a little bit more, but they're tucked in enough. I'm trying to show you how to do it with a camera and leaning over here. So, there, nice and neat. And then, because that part's already done, I'm going to go and continue with this color. And then I will do another one and show you, or maybe do 4 and show you how to combine them. But that's how you do the basic, how I do my granny squares. Okay, thank you.